Welcome to Webinar Wednesday. Today we're going to look at how an accounts receivable person in your organization can use Business Central to manage receivables, use doc attach and notes, age trial balance, reporting with vivid reports, and how you would go about customizing Word templates. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome to another Webinar Wednesday presented by Profit Business Group. Today we're going to be taking a look at managing receivables in Business Central. And collections is very important. After all, customers' money is how we pay our bills. So how do we know who to call for collections and for how much? Well, in this webinar, I'm going to show you how to find customer balances, whether that be through Business Central visual indicators on the homepage or running reports. We'll take a look at reminders in Business Central and how reminder terms are used to issue these reminders. And we'll also have a go at running some statements. Let's jump into Business Central to take a look. So here I am on my Business Central demo company. In regards to the question of who owes us money and for how much, there are several different reports we can run and pages that we can visit for this information. On the Business Central homepage, we have an overdue sales amount right here. And there's a red bar underneath it. The red bar is a visual indicator stating that this is an unfavorable amount, and therefore it should be looked at. If I drill in, I can see which transactions are making up this amount. If I scroll over to the side, we'll get a list of due dates for each of these transactions, and they're all highlighted in red here, another visual indicator stating that these are indeed past their due date. I can also go to the customer list to see account balances. The amounts that are past their due date are listed in this balance due column. From the customer list, I can also run reports, such as the aged accounts receivable, to see who owes what. Let's take a look at this report. So it's going to be under reports, it's a finance report, and we have a whole list of different aging reports here available to us, but I'll just run this aged accounts receivable one here, just to give you guys a quick view of what this looks like. So I'm just going to preview it. And this preview is going to print at the screen. And if I just zoom in here, we'll see it's listing every one of our customers in the system and what their current aged customer balances are. So what are some of the ways that we can remind our customers that they have an outstanding balance? First, let's take a look at reminders. And these reminders can either be run manually from a customer card, or we can set them up to be run automatically via a batch job. Before we run this batch job, we have to set up reminder terms codes on each one of those customer cards. Let's take a look at these reminders terms first. So I'm going to search here for reminder terms. And we can see that we have two different codes set up in the system, reminder terms for domestic customers and reminder terms for foreign customers. We're mostly going to be focusing on these domestic customers today. And so next we want to take a look at the levels. So each time we run a reminder, it's going to be level 1 for the first time it's run, level 2 for the next time, level 3, and so on. So if we take a look at our levels here, we can see that we have 3 different levels set up for our domestic customers. And on the first run, we can see that, I want you guys to pay attention here, that this $770 fee is going to be levied. Okay, and each subsequent run, it looks like the fee goes up, and on the final run as well, we're going to be calculating interest on those overdue amounts. Okay, so now that these levels are done here, let's go back to our customer card just to see where we would set these reminder terms. So I'm going to pull up a few customers here, and we set our reminder terms on our payment section. So we can see reminders terms code of domestic has been set for, I think, our first 5 customers here in the system. I'm just going to scroll through just to confirm that. So yes, all the way up to customer ID 30,000, looks like we have reminders terms code set. Now I'm going to go back to my customer list here. And pay attention here, we can see that actually of all the reminders terms codes has been set for all 5 customers here, but only 2 of these customers have balance due amounts. Okay, so to run reminders, what I want to do is I want to search here for reminders. And we can see we currently have no reminders in the system. So I'm going to run a batch job now to generate the reminders to our customers. So that will be through our process here, and I'll create reminders. We've got a few options here we can select. My customer filter, I'm going to leave it wide open so that we get all customers. And I'll go ahead and run that. And we can see here it's generated 2 reminders for both of those customers that had balance dues. If I drill into each one of these reminders, we can see there's that $7.70 fee I was talking about earlier. So if I take a look at this other reminder, we can see that that fee was levied as well to this customer. So once we review these reminders and everything looks fine, we want to issue these reminders to the customer. So that can be done through our actions here. And so when I issue this, I'm going to get a chance to choose if I want to print it, do nothing with it, or email it to the customer. So these reminders, once they've been reviewed and everything looks fine, you can go ahead and email them out to the customer. Then they're going to get a report email to them, letting them know that, hey, you have these amounts due to us, and please pay as soon as possible. Another way that we can inform a customer of an amount owing is through the use of statements. I'm going to search here for statements in the system, and I'm going to choose this option. We can see that I already have some parameters here filled out for my statement run. We can obviously choose whether we want to preview this, print it out, or email it. But for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to preview it here. And so this is going to run for all customers in the system with amount owing. Statement here in the system so that we can review it. And we can see we get a nice pretty report here in a Word template format listing all of the outstanding amounts for each of our customers in the system. And that brings us to the end of our webinar. To learn more about working with accounts receivable, please contact us by visiting our webpage at www.profit.ca. Thank you.
As someone doing accounts receivable inside of Business Central, we need to provide supporting documentation around journal entries or documents we've processed. One way we can do that in Business Central is in the fact box, which is available on most cards and documents. You can attach files, add links, and write notes. Today we're going to look at notes in BC, attachments in BC, printing as a PDF and saving in BC, and links to web pages. Let's get started. So we're looking at sales orders, and on the right hand side I will open up the fact box. So on the fact box I will see that there's this attachments option. This tells me how many attachments are actually already attached. So in this case I have no attachments attached. I can also add notes onto a document. So by clicking the plus button I can add a new note for as an example. So I'm on sales order document here, and I can add a note. Please review this document as an example. Hit OK. Now this note is now signed with a timestamp or date stamp as to when it was created and the user who created it. I can also click on here and edit that note or delete the note if I needed to. If I go back to details, once again I see the normal fact box information. Let's now look at the attachment feature. So I can go to attachments in the fact box, select the button to attach, and I can now select or attach a file. So an example of this may be a journal entry I'm doing. I can attach an Excel spreadsheet as supporting documentation, or a PDF document as attachment to the original sales order, and do a bunch of different things. So we can select a file on our PC, we can preview it, it'll show us the file type, data it was attached, the user attached it. Something else we can do is I can actually print off or attach a PDF of the sales document. So where this would be useful would be or an example of this would be is when document flows in multiple steps, such as in the sales process. I can refer to the previous document in that process as a supporting document. So a quote, you can print a quote and attach it to an order, or an order attached to an invoice. That would be an example of that. So we have an order here, and I'll go to print and send. We'll attach as a PDF. It'll ask me which document I want. I'll just do an order confirmation form. We'll hit OK. It's now generating the PDF, and you see it. There's one attachment. If I was to drill into that, I have a sales confirmation document that's attached as a PDF, and we can preview this. And here's our sales confirmation, order confirmation that printed out. On the vendor and customer cards, I can also attach links. So where this could be useful would be I could have the vendor's website as a link here where I do place orders as an example. So to add a link, once again, it's just hitting the plus button. I put in the link address with a description, which I've done in this case. If I was to click on that, it would bring me to the web page. To get started with the attachment and link and notes capability within Business Central, please contact Profit Business Group by visiting our webpage at www.profit.ca. Thank you.
Using vivid reports with Business Central. So are you familiar with Microsoft Excel? Don't you wish that you could use this knowledge of conditional formatting and formulas, pivot tables, and so forth to build beautiful financial reports and budgets? Well, Vivid Reports is an Excel add-in that integrates with over 50 ERPs or accounting systems, including Microsoft Dynamics Business Central, for seamless financial reporting and budgeting. It's a product that's very quick to learn and very easy to use by leveraging the power of Microsoft Excel. And everyone at this point is very familiar with Microsoft Excel. So in our demonstration today, we'll look at how easily Vivid Reports can pull in AR data from our Business Central general ledger. And then you can use your thorough knowledge of Excel to build a simple yet elegant report that will tell you the average days it takes for customers to pay. Okay, so now in Excel we have this simple report that tells us as of January 2021 what the AR was a year ago for this period, January 2021, what the AR is today, what the average AR is for the two periods, and what our sales is today, and then a simple calculation that tells us the average days it takes for customers to pay us. And using our knowledge of Excel, we were able to put a conditional format that changes the color of this cell. So when it's under 30, it's green, telling us everything is good to go. If it's over 30, it'll change another color. If it's over 40 days, it'll be a bright red, warning us that, hey, it's taking unreasonably long for our customers to pay us. So all the data that's coming in here has been pulled into Excel using Vivid Reports. You see our ribbon here, it's Vivid Reports. Right? One of the cool features of Vivid Reports is the ability to build a control panel where you have an easy place for us to change the period we want to report on. Okay, let's take a look at what February looks like. We even have a year, so we can go back for how many years that you've got data on. But we want to keep it in January 2021. Okay, so in February it looks like it's taking a little bit longer on average for our customers to pay. So conditional formatting has changed this to a pink color. Let's go ahead and take a look at what March looks like. Okay, so for March, the average days is now a bright red, warning us it's over 40 days, and you can see it's at 40.01 days. All right, let's take a quick look at how Vivid works. The report that I've expanded is the actual report that pulls from Vivid, or pulls from Business Central using Vivid. You'll have, I've pulled in a row for the accounts receivable for the life year to date, or sorry, the last year to date, the current year to date, and current year to date for the sales. This is what Vivid uses to know where it's going to pull the data from. So there's a comment here with markup language, right? And to understand what that actually means, we can go to our definition. There's a lot going on in this window, but what I want to show you is that in this window we can define what accounts need to print on this particular row. So I've selected account, and then on the filter pane I've selected accounts receivable, right? I have another one here for the exact same thing, except that I want it for the current year, not last year. Okay, now the reason why the comment in this is on a different column is so that when we're defining what periods, we need the links to be on separate columns. So the column definition is not confused as to which row is for the last year to date and which row is for the current year to date. So you'll notice that the second row for accounts receivable and the third row for the sales are on the same, have the comments on the same column I. So that tells the column definition that this is for the current year to date. Let's take a quick look at how the row for sales has been defined. This one's a little different because we can reverse the sign, which we didn't for accounts receivable. We did it for sales because it's a current, a credit balance, typical balance. Okay, we've also selected 40,000 from the filter pane, but what's different is this is an account roll-up. There are multiple sales accounts. So you'll notice that our expression here is where the segment, the first segment, is like or begins with 4, because all the sales account will be 40,000 something. Okay. Now, these comments here refer to the column definition. So if you pulled up the very first one, you'll see that this is linked to row I, which is the current year. This one down here is linked to row H, which is down here. And if we look at how this definition has been set up, okay, the period is set to March year to date, and the year is 2021 based on what we pre-selected on the control panel. But we've changed some of the options in input-output options so that it prints the previous year by entering a -1 year offset. I would like to say a huge thank you to Christine and everyone at Vivid Reports for their support in making this webinar possible. And if you would like to know more about Vivid Reports and how it can help you and your financial report and budgeting framework, please visit Vivid Reports at www.vividreports.com. If you would like to learn more about Microsoft Dynamics Business Central, Vivid Reports, or anything else you've seen today, please don't hesitate to visit Profit Business Solutions at www.profit.ca.
Do you want to modify your invoice in Business Central or any other word-based report? Well, to do so, there's only 2 windows that we need to know about. That would be the Custom Layouts window and the Report Layout Selection window. Today, I'll go through how we can modify our invoice very simply with only a few steps. And I'll also touch a little bit on how we can modify the logo without going into the templates. Let's take a look. So the first thing we need to do when we're modifying reports is to identify which report we want to modify. To do so, I can go to my Report Layout Selection window, and I'm going to search for Invoice. And we can see here, this is the report I want to modify, my sales invoice. It has report ID 1306. So a few things to note on this page here is that currently it looks like in the demo company here, we're using the built-in Word report. So built-in just means that it's out-of-box report, okay? So if we want to go ahead and start modifying this report, we can go to Process and then Custom Layouts. And so this will show us all of the out-of-the-box reports available to us. We can see we have a slew of them as denoted by this check mark box here in this built-in column. Okay, now let's say it's this US sales invoice blue that we wanted to modify. To do so, I would just make a copy of this report. So I'm going to go to Process and Copy. And now we get a copy of that report, and we can see that it no longer has a built-in check mark beside it because it's no longer out of the box. Okay, now to modify it, I would simply go to Layout and I would export this layout. And then I can open up my report here for modifying. And let's just assume that our client wanted us just to add a little bit to the bottom of their invoice here, so just a line of text. Okay, so let's assume that's all they wanted there to make it nice and simple for our example, and I will go ahead and now save this new report. I'm just going to save it to my desktop so I can find it nice and easily. And we'll give it a name here of Invoice New. All right, so now that we got our new invoice modified and saved, we can come back into our report layout selection window, and I'll make sure that I'm on my copy of my invoice here, and I'll go back to layout and I will import this new layout. It's going to ask me to choose which Word document, and I'm going to choose my invoice new document, and I'll import that in. And the last step here, I just make sure I want to update my layout for that new layout. Okay, and I get a message here that's letting me know that it has been updated. Okay, so final step now, we want to go ahead and assign this new layout to our company. So that will be back on our report layout selection window. So I'm going to back out of here. And I'm going to choose Edit List, which is going to allow me to edit things in this window. And first thing I want to do is make sure that I change this from Word built-in, because it's no longer a built-in report we're going to be using. It's going to be a custom layout. And that will allow me to choose my copy of Sales Invoice Blue. And now that's set on the company. Let's run this report here, just to make sure we get our desired results. And I'm just going to preview it here. Perfect, and we can see that our line is now added to this report. So the last thing I wanted to show you guys was how easy it's going to be here to change your logo on any report in the system. This does not require us to go into any of the reports to change the logo. Rather, all we have to do is change it on our company information page here. So we can see this is the current logo. All I would have to do is navigate out and choose a new company logo. So I got this one here, Demo Company New. So we can see that's what it looks like. Now that it's changed, if I went back to my report layout selection window, let's go run one of our invoice reports that we were just working on earlier. Okay, this one here. And I don't even have to go into this. I don't have to update any reports, anything like that. All I gotta do is now test my report by running it. And we can see that the new logo was applied just by changing it in the company information page. That takes us to the end of this webinar series. Please reach out to me at colinp@profit.ca for any help in modifying any of your reports in Business Central, or if you have any questions regarding the AR process in Business Central at all. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.